Hi and welcome to today's reading. Today's reading is a collective reading based on some dreams that I have been having over the past few days and some images that I've been getting through in meditation. If you are new to my channel, please like, share and subscribe. If you are returning, welcome back. This particular video will be placed in my general tarot reading playlist, also in my public service announcement, my PSA playlist, which revolves around messages that I receive about natural disasters. But it'll also be placed in my Pluto and Aquarius transit as well. That is a playlist that is also available. First and foremost, I'm going to just give you an idea of the messages that I receive. So for the past couple of years, I've been receiving messages about natural disasters. Now, all of my readings are timeless. So in regards to what natural disaster it pertains to, I'm really not sure. I believe that we all receive pieces to a much broader puzzle. The messages I've been receiving the last few days in terms of natural events are messages that were put on YouTube many years ago, and they're just starting to filter through. They're not things that I've searched up or things that I've even spoken about out loud, but they are things that have been coming through. As I said, I believe that we all receive little pieces of the puzzle, and who you connect with on your daily journey through your spiritual existence, you collect little pieces of the puzzle along the way. So you may be watching this reading the day I post it. You could be watching it in 5 years' time. But whenever you are watching it, there is a piece of the puzzle that you are looking for within this reading. So as I said, I've been studying for the past couple of months the Pluto and Aquarius transit. Now, Pluto and Aquarius is a 20-year transit where Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius. So Pluto makes its way around the zodiac sign and around the zodiac wheel, and it stops in each sign for a 20-year period. So Pluto and Aquarius started in January 2024, and it'll be there until 2044. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was in 1700s, the late 1700s. When Pluto is in Aquarius, we see major revolutionary change in people, in structures. In Aquarius is the rebel. Pluto is transformation. Major revolutionary change. And within that transit, and specifically what I've been looking at over the past couple of months, is the significance of those particular time periods in conjunction with natural disasters that happen during that transit that help facilitate that big transformation. So if we look at the 1700s, late 1700s, we saw the French Revolution and the American Revolution both happened within that Pluto and Aquarius transit. During the French Revolution, the French people were starving. The hierarchy were living a lavish lifestyle. If you look at Pluto and Aquarius, Aquarius is the people, and on the other side of the zodiac wheel is Leo. Leo is the people in power. So the French people were starving, and the kings and queens were living this lavish lifestyle. What happened was there was a huge eruption of a volcano called Laki, L-A-K-I, in Iceland. Now, Laki means lucky. Lucky for those people because it blanketed a cloud of ash over Europe for 8 months, destroying all of their farming crops, which meant they were really starving. But it facilitated the French Revolution. They stormed the Bastille, took down the powers that be, the king and the queen, and changed the whole French system of governance to one that was for the people as opposed to for the monarchy. That is Pluto and Aquarius. If you think about the American Revolution, are breaking away from the foundations or those links to England. Huge revolutionary change. If I go back to the 1500s, huge change in England, where a massive change in the religious structure of England occurred, which had a great effect on the people and caused massive turmoil between the people in England when Henry VIII changed England from Catholicism to his own church. Prior to that, we saw major revolution in another Pluto and Aquarius transit, with William Wallace. Now, that particular Pluto and Aquarius transit, a volcano that erupted in Indonesia at the same time, blanketed Europe with a huge cloud of ash, which again affected crops, putting people, almost pressing people up against a wall. So they had no other choice but to fight for their freedom. So I've got many, many readings that I've done previously, and specifically with this message that's coming through, readings that I've done in regards to our lack of attentiveness to the information that ancient civilizations, Indigenous people, and I'm talking about Native American, I'm talking about people, Aboriginal people within Australia, as a modern society, lack of connection with those stories of those Indigenous people and their relevance to the messages that we are getting in relation to upcoming natural disasters. If I think about in America, and I've done a couple of readings on, I've been getting lots of messages about earthquakes. There is a fault line that runs on the western coast, the top western coast of America, runs into Canada. It's called the Cascadia Fault Line. It's a fault line that is 50 or 60 years past due on an earthquake. It's basically bound to happen anytime soon. And the local governments in those areas, whilst they know the Indigenous stories of the last time that particular fault line caused, I think it was upwards of 9.2 magnitude earthquake, they don't use that information whilst they're planning, doing the engineering and planning and guidelines for buildings being built in that same area, because those native stories are verbal. They're not written anywhere. So there's all these people who've built all these communities on the coastline based on smaller earthquake information that was recorded from the past 100 years, because they don't see something that is recorded verbally, a story, a songline is what it's called in Australia, a songline, a story of a particular piece of geography, the tribal stories that are passed down from generation to generation of that particular area, because they're not formally recorded the way Western society, modern society records things. They're not taken into consideration. So if you are new to my channel, you will know that I do a fair bit of talking prior to a reading, because I think that the information that I give prior to the reading has major relevance even before I pull any cards. And sometimes I don't pull cards. But there are running themes within the information that I give. So for example, if we go back to the Pluto and Aquarius transit, which was from 60 to 85 CE, so current day, we saw the siege of Jerusalem, Titus destroying the temple there, the disbursement of the Jewish population across the world. And within that transit, we saw Mount Vesuvius erupt. So if you think of Mount Vesuvius, you think of Pompeii, just to put things into context. So the dream that I had was, I've been getting dreams the past couple of weeks over and over and over again, all different forms of them, about a 50th birthday celebration. different people in my life turning 50 and people who aren't turning 50. So the relevance to me is the number 50. Now tomorrow, today is May 18th, tomorrow is May 19th, which is 50 days after Easter, or 7 weeks. The number 7 is also significant. So I was getting 50 in my dreams. I couldn't work out why. Tomorrow is May 19th, 50 days after Easter. It's 10 days after the Ascension. So if we're looking at this in biblical terms, 10 days after the Ascension. And it is the day that it's Pentecost Sunday. So when you think of Pentecost, you think fire. It's the day that is celebrated as the day that the Holy Spirit came down upon Mary and the apostles and told them to take the message of Jesus out to the world. Now, you don't have to be religious to... I'm just putting into context of the way I've lived my life in this world. So I'm Catholic. And they actually look like flames. So keep that image of flame, of fire in your mind. I had a lot of trouble actually trying to work out where this message was going. And then in the last 2 days, randomly and almost forcefully, I started getting these messages in my feed on YouTube about the Northern Lights, which we're seeing everywhere at the moment. The Northern Lights, this massive, massive spectacle, which is coming from solar flares. Think fire. I knew that's why. I shuffled these cards. This is part of my 8 activation deck. 8 cards in this deck, and I was trying to work out which card. They are a card that you meditate on to receive further information. And as I was shuffling them, because I didn't know which one to use, as I was shuffling this one just flew out. And I thought, right, there's a reason. The Northern Lights are happening because of solar flares. Solar flares are fire, massive eruptions that are coming from the sun. These messages coming through, and you can Google them. Messages coming through from people from 3-4 years ago, talking about their piece of the puzzle that they were given about the 3 days of darkness that are coming, that will be happening after the solar flares. The Northern Lights are a sign that the 3 days of darkness are coming. And lots of messages about staying in your home, preparing, staying in your home. And I'd never received anything like that before, any messages like that before. I thought it was just very, very random. And so I sat in contemplation. I'd keep waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I sat one night at 3 o'clock in the morning and just thought, right, maybe I'm just meant to, in the dark, just sit and really, really focus on what this message means. And so it was dark, but I closed my eyes and I just saw almost instantaneously this wall of water. It would have been hundreds of feet high, this wall of water. And it had this roar to it. And if you've ever seen a big wave coming in, it sucks the water up that's in front of the wave. It sucks it up. It's just this big roar. And it was so frightening that I actually opened my eyes to switch off the image, because I knew exactly what it meant. It was a dirty big tsunami. And whether it is a physical message of something physically that's going to happen, or it's a metaphor for, I mean, if you've ever been to the beach and you've been taken out by a wave, dumped by a wave, a spiritual awakening, getting tipped on your ass is what a big wave will do if you're not prepared. But that was the image that I got. So I went looking, because in previous readings I have, as I said, talked about the relevance of native indigenous cultures and their interpretations of things like tsunamis. So I think if you Google the orphan wave, which was when the last Cascadia earthquake happened. Now, Japan had a history of recording things down. So they had recordings of this wave that came in, this tsunami that came across the Pacific Ocean. And I think about that painting, The Great Wave, that Japanese painting, The Great Wave. So this orphan wave that came in, and they called it an orphan wave because they're no strangers to earthquakes. So they know that tsunamis and earthquakes happen together. But they hadn't had an earthquake, so they just got this orphan wave that came across and obviously killed, and it didn't kill a lot of people, but it killed people. But it had come from the Cascadia earthquake. And if you look at the indigenous stories of the Native American people on that particular part of the coastline in America and in Canada, they have got stories about canoes up in trees. They tell the story of the thunderbird and the whale. The thunderbird being the earth that's shaking and the whale, and a fight between the two that caused these canoes in the trees. But of course, those stories weren't taken into consideration because they weren't formally written or recorded. And so all the people in those particular coastal areas that have now built these homes and businesses and towns and cities have done so not on that information. I mean, an earthquake's so big that it causes a tsunami in Japan. You think you want to record that. So I went looking for the native information on the Seven Sisters, specifically because I know that in Native American culture, with the solar eclipse that went over America on the 8th of April this year, 2024, I had read that in Native American culture, they don't see it as a time to go outside. It's a time it's ominous. They go inside until the darkness has passed, as opposed to, going out and filming it. So I had a look for Australia on the Northern Lights, what the Northern Lights meant to the Aboriginal people in Australia. And it is a time of omens. It is fire, death, blood, and omens. It's called Ulapika. Now, I may be pronouncing that wrong. And it's a time when the elders often speak to their ancestors through the auroras. There is also a big conjunction that's happening with a whole section of planets, and I think it's happening next week. I know the full moon is in Sagittarius on the 23rd. Maybe on the 21st, there's a conjunction between 6 or 7 planets. But somewhere in that conjunction, there's also a link to the Pleiades. So in Australian Aboriginal culture, those Pleiades are known as the Seven Sisters. And the story, so in Australian culture, they call it a songline. Other people might refer to it as a ley line, energy lines, but in Australia it's called a song line. So the song line is the stories that are told within a particular pocket, a particular geographical location. Now Australia is huge, so there are song lines for every little piece of earth. And right across Australia, that Seven Sisters story is told because it is a major influence in many of the ancient geographical locations for the Aboriginal people across Australia. The Seven Sisters story is about 7 sisters who fled to the night sky by turning themselves into flame, Pentecost. So we're seeing synchronicity, turning themselves into flame because they were trying to escape a bad man who was chasing them, who was endlessly chasing them. And the only way they could get away was to actually place themselves up in the sky. That's the Dreamtime story of the 7 Sisters. The other thing that popped up in my feed was a piece from a movie, a 2009 movie called Knowing, with Nicolas Cage. And I'm going to go and watch that movie because there is relevance, because within the piece that showed within, his character was talking about his father was religious. I think he was some sort of scientist, but he'd recognized a link between the Pleiades, so the seven sisters, the solar flares that were happening, and the end of days. And he was trying to tell his father that he needed to prepare. There's also links in with Jacob in the Bible, or Jacob's trouble, the Exodus from Egypt. If you think of those during the Passover, they painted lamb's blood over their doors and were told to stay inside as the darkness came through, and God took the firstborn son of everybody who hadn't painted their door. 3 days of darkness could mean, now in the Bible, 3 days is, I think 3 days is 100 days. There's some. 3 days is 3 years. Potentially the next 3 years for us is going to be 3 years of darkness. My thought just came into my mind. 3 days of darkness might be World War III. The Sagittarius moon is the Nine of Wands, is the card for the moon in Sagittarius. The moon in Sagittarius is drawing us into the big questions in life, the deeper meaning. Moon in Sagittarius is very, very philosophical. Now, if I go back to the songlines within Australia, that Seven Sisters sacred songline, as I said before, it travels over thousands of kilometres and across many of the important sites in Australia. The Aboriginal people were the traditional custodians of this country. Everybody else is just a settler. It was seen as a story about running in fear, and it was tied to the sovereign law of the country. And I'm talking about Aboriginal law, the traditional law, that we are one big human family, but that more and more people are running from danger, running from the lawbreakers who create wars, steal land and oppress. It's kind of really sad. And to think that some of those Aboriginal paintings that have been found in Australia, 60,000 years old. So this story is thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. It's obviously an age-old story. But it's a story about, a common law that we're meant to uphold on our planet that is being broken, forgotten, and violated. And that songline, that story, that Seven Sisters songline is a warning against breaking the laws that keep humanity together. If you think of Pharaoh, he was an egomaniac. What happened? His son, in that darkness that came over, his son was killed as one of the firstborn. In many of my readings, I've been using the term spiritual earthquake, but maybe it's, spiritual tsunami that's coming through. God forbid. Imagine the world would fall apart if we didn't have the internet for 3 days. Imagine if a solar storm took out the internet and all of the people that their sole existence is their public image. Yeah, interesting. All I see from this card is layers. On the back, we have, now that's in Arabic, Angel of Light and Angel of Freedom. Light, that sun, that illumination that we're going to get. This 3 days of darkness. It's meant to be like the Native American people when there was the solar eclipse. It's meant to be a time when we are meant to go into hermit mode, to pull down the shutters and reflect. Okay, I'm going to pull some cards. I'm going to see where we go. Seven Sisters. 7 is very, very, very... It's a biblical number. Okay, so we've got the Ace of Pentacles, a gift from God, the Queen of Swords, that comes in the form of a truth, a huge spiritual awakening. Ace of Pentacles is Aries, Leo, Sag. That's fire. 7 of Swords, to maybe enlighten us to illusions that have been around us. Maybe the illusions, lying, cheating, stealing. Temperance, that's divine timing. That is Sagittarius. That is actually Sagittarius full moon. It's all tying in together. Pentecost, which is tomorrow, May 19th. Sagittarius full moon is the 23rd. If you're thinking about it from a religious standpoint, the Abrahamic faiths, which are Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, and a lot of those stories run through that, obviously not, you know, Aboriginal, Native American stories, but you need to put them all in context because they're all pieces of a puzzle. To me, God's not going to give you all the answers. You have to go searching internally as well. You have to go looking for the truth in order to find the answers. Find out all the deception. Get all the pieces of puzzle. Moon in Sagittarius. The Temperance card. Divine timing for all of this to come out. King of Cups on the bottom. I think we are being offered in this, whether it's a physical or a metaphorical, metaphorical, that's the right word, day of darkness. Everybody's talking about, you know, we're all meant to be going through this huge spiritual awakening. But in order to do that, we need to go through a dark night of the soul. Something needs to happen. Something needs to be broken away in order for something to be rebuilt. And for many people who are already on this journey, I'm seeing Pluto, for many people who are already on this journey, they've already begun the preparation. So in a lot of those messages, it says, you know, go and get 3 days of darkness, don't go outside, you know, get 3 days worth of food, blah, 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 blah. For me, it's about being spiritually fed. How are you spiritually feeding yourself? Six of Cups. 6 of Cups is Sun in Scorpio. That's death and rebirth. Moon in Libra is the 2 of Swords. What's hidden? Something's hidden. Yeah, it's going to be illuminated with these solar flares. 9 of Cups. Nine of Cups is Jupiter in Pisces. Pisces for me is always religion. I always see Pisces, the fish, is religion. Something's going to be illuminated. What I was going to say before was Queen of Cups. So now we've got the King and Queen of Cups. Maybe us coming into alignment, Temperance, into alignment, back into alignment with ourselves. And the Hangman. An Epiphany. We've been living under an illusion. We've been living under this illusion that what we have in the present is the be-all, end-all of everything. If I go back to what I was saying before about not taking into consideration Dreamtime stories, Native American stories of things that have happened in the past, there is ancient wisdom. 6 of Cups. Hidden ancient wisdom that is lying there as little puzzle pieces for us to utilize in order as a collective of people to grow and evolve. You know, a common law, like I said, a common law that upholds our planet, but it's being broken because there are people who are doing the wrong thing to other people. And God's calling judgment. Whatever this solar storm is, whether what we have already seen is a prelude to some sort of mass dark night of the soul, or whether, I mean, if you think about it, if the lights go out for 3 days, what happens then? Everybody goes out because maybe the lights go out because there's a solar storm. And so there's no power, everything is in darkness, and people go, oh, look at this, we're going to go outside and have a look at the solar lights or the northern lights. That's when everybody sees, globally, you see these lights. But fire, death, blood, and omens. You're not meant to go and look. You're not meant to be distracted by the lights. I was getting that song the other day, Blinding Lights. You're not meant to be distracted by these blinding lights. Maybe something about us, you know, if maybe, I mean, those solar flares that are happening, I think they're X-class. Oh, they are extremely powerful. And if you think about an eclipse when it happens, you get given special glasses because you can actually damage your eyes. Maybe these solar storms that are coming, we're not meant to look at because they'll damage. But it's hidden, Moon in Libra. Interesting. King of Pentacles on the bottom. King of Pentacles is somebody who makes money off, takes financial advantage in a negative way, takes financial advantage over something that's harmful to other people. Queen of Swords, that's the truth. We're doubling cards here. Queen of Swords, yeah. Five of Wands. Queen of Swords is Uranus in Aquarius. As I said, we are currently in the Pluto and Aquarius transit. So we've now got 2 Uranus and Aquarius. Uranus is the Fool card in the Major Arcana. Uranus is, whenever it comes out and I do a Pluto and Aquarius, whenever the Fool card comes out and I do a Pluto and Aquarius reading, the Fool card is earthquakes. Now, for me, earthquakes are signs from the heavens, things that are meant to happen in order to facilitate some sort of change. That earthquake during the volcano during the French Revolution allowed them to liberate themselves. Even though it was painful at the time, it allowed them to liberate themselves. That volcano, Mount Vesuvius, Pompeii, was meant to be a very, very debaucherous city. And it was seen as God punishing those people for their debauchery. Queen of Swords, Uranus. What does God do from the sky? Cause damage through a solar eclipse if you look at the sun directly, and potentially cause damage through viewing northern lights. 5 of Wands is Saturn and Leo. Saturn and Leo, that's a lesson. Saturn. Leo is the opposite of Aquarius on the wheel. Aquarius is the rebel. Aquarius is the people. Leo is the governing bodies. Saturn and Leo. Something about the sovereign law of a country. Stealing land and oppression, which is effectively what happened to the Aboriginal people in Australia. 9 of Pentacles, freedom. The Nine of Pentacles for me is Venus, well, it's Venus in Virgo, but it is my Mother Mary card. And that eclipse was the 8th of April. That eclipse happened on the Ascension, the day that the Catholic Church celebrated the Ascension. No, not the Ascension. There's something about Ascension, a global ascension. The Annunciation of Mary, the day that they celebrate in the Catholic Church, except it was the 25th of March. It's normally the day that they celebrate it, but they moved Easter for some reason this year. They moved the date of Easter, and so it fell within Holy Week, which is Easter week, and it couldn't fall within there. So they moved it till the 8th of April. So the day that the lunar eclipse was the day that they celebrate the Annunciation of Mary, the day that Mary received the message from Angel Gabriel that she was going to have a child. So that was the date of the lunar eclipse. But that celebration day got moved until the 8th of April, which was actually the day of the solar eclipse. There's something within this that also pertains to the recent solar eclipse. And the King of Wands. The King of Wands in this particular context for me is that shapeshifter energy. Sometimes the King of Wands is all the gear but no idea. He's a maniacal, if that's the right word, very, very in his ego. If you think of Pharaoh, when the plagues happened 10 plagues had to happen in Egypt before he set those people free. Freedom. Nine of Pentacles is freedom. Before he set them free. If I look at the 7 sisters, they fled to the sky because they were endlessly being chased by a bad man. Jacob's troubles are parallel with Exodus. The Jewish people leaving Egypt. The darkness that fell on Egypt. And we're talking about, you know, the northern lights and the 3 days of darkness. The darkness that fell on Egypt because Pharaoh wouldn't listen to the warnings that he was getting. Well, he was getting from God through Moses. Blinded by the lights. He was blinded by his own light. Pharaoh thought he was the be-all and end-all. I can think of some individuals, Page of Swords. I can think of some individuals in current events who are mirroring that type of. And if we think of Pluto and Aquarius, Aquarius the people, Leo the opposite. Leo is heads of state, heads of power, being blinded by their own light and not listening to what the people are saying. I've got that song from, why do I want to say To Kill a Mockingbird? Mockingjay, The Hanging Tree. Oh, and look, are you going to the tree? He said he murdered three of cups, 3. 3 days of darkness. Right. Let's get some oracle divine messages. Healing. Be gentle with yourself. Compass. All of this is happening to put us on the destined path. Spying energy. Well, that's the world is watching. Wish fulfillment. Childhood wounds and patterns. Overthinking hidden in plain sight. Obstacles are lessons in disguise. Overthinking, hidden in plain sight for me, is the wisdom that comes from these ancient cultures. Walking away. I think we're meant to witness this. Whatever is going to happen, we are meant to witness it, and it's meant to be a tool for us to internally reflect. Page of Swords is a curiosity. Sun in Gemini. What's being illuminated? The sun is what's being illuminated to us. During this particular period of time, what's being illuminated to us? Gemini is a choice. And God forbid there is some awful tsunami. Now, these are my South and North Node. Currently, the South and North Node are in... North Node is in Aries, and the South Node is in... Oh, my goodness. The South Node is in Libra. South Node in Pisces. Head lost in a sky full of clouds thanks to the South Node in Pisces, drifting off into the dreamy land of confusion. Let's toss in a pinch of practical magic and some down-to-earth vibes. Mix those lofty dreams with a touch of reality. Say farewell to old habits and dive headfirst in a bold new adventure. Pisces is, I was thinking about the wave. Pisces is the fish. Pisces is water. North Node in the first house. Get ready to rock the boat if your North Node takes center stage in the first house. It's time to shine as a lone wolf, even if it raises a few eyebrows. Embrace your true self and bid farewell to the people-pleasing game. You do you. Interesting. That is Aquarius. That's Pluto and Aquarius. That's people breaking free from the shackles that bind them. Let's have a look at my Moon Oracle deck. Anything? Yeah, we'll have that one. New Moon in Aries. And time to meditate and contemplate. That's beautiful because that new moon, actually I'm not sure what the new moon was this month, but time to meditate and contemplate is that 3 days of darkness. I actually don't think, well, maybe it is 3 physical days. I think it's just a time of reflection. Full moon in Capricorn, get ready. The finish line of a tough cycle is in sight. What I was going to say, what did I say? There is something about May. If you think we've got Pentecost in May, we've got that big alignment of whatever planets they are happening. There's been quite a few things that have happened in May. May is Taurus. Taurus is the bull. People that are bullheaded. The Abrahamic faiths, which is Christianity, Islam and Judaism, they are all Abrahamic faiths. They believe in the one God. Even though the religions deviate off, they all believe in the one God. Now, Taurus, which is May, is the bull. The Abrahamic faiths, that word Brahman, which is a bull, a type of bull, is part of the word Abrahamic faiths. Something, there's a relevance. And look, we've got horns here. Capricorn, which is the goat. Aries, which is the ram. Some locking horns. Spiritually. Interesting. Okay, let us have a look. This is my Angel Oracle deck. Uriel. L, God is my light. Transformation. $63. Annual. Travel, business, banking, and commerce. But think about L. The last 3 solar eclipses that have been full solar eclipses, I think 2017, 2021 and 2024, the ones that have gone solely across America, made a sideways A, which in Old Hebrew makes the sign of God, which is L, E-L, the sign of God across America. Solar eclipses, yeah. The last 3 solar eclipses, 3 days of darkness. I'm sure you'll get little puzzle pieces from this. 52. 5 and 2 adds up to 7. Imamia, prisoners. People running from danger, from lawbreakers who create wars, steal land and oppress. Prisoners. 10. Aladia, good health helps with anger and rage. 62. Ihel, wisdom and philosophy. Reconciliation, love and fertility. 48. 72. Via, success. I don't know how to pronounce some of those. They're very... 49. Vihuel, eliminates sorrow. And on the bottom, 31. Lakabel, acquires knowledge. Okay, finally I'm going to get some Scrabble tiles. As I said, this reading, any tarot reading that you watch, is an intuitive exercise for you. Confirming things that you have already picked up on, that you've maybe been unsure about, or it's meant to provide you a piece of a puzzle that you may not have come across yet, which then, as you go throughout your day, in the coming weeks, the coming months, then confirms. You have things in your own life which then confirm something that you've picked up in this reading. We are all meant to be getting pieces of the puzzle. So I'm going to call out the letters and the numbers. J and an 8, I think Jerusalem. A and a 1. I and a 1. N and a 1. Nineveh. The eclipse in America went across, I think, 7 cities or 8 cities called Nineveh. Nineveh is Jonah and the whale. Jonah was sent to a city in the Bible. Jonah was sent to a city called Nineveh, and he asked them to repent, and they didn't. And I think there was some sort of solar eclipse that happened when he returned, something about a solar eclipse, and the people saw it as a sign from God because the skies went black. They saw it as an omen, a sign from God, and so they repented. And because basically Jonah had said to them, God is telling me that you have to repent, that you have to bring back your evil ways, otherwise God is going to call judgment on you. Nineveh. F. F and a 4. An S and a 1. An X and an 8. X marks the spot. In that eclipse, it also made, I think it's called an Alav and a Tav, the beginning and the end, the X, the beginning and the end. A D and a 2. And this year is number 8, 2024. It is karmic lessons and abundance. If you've done the spiritual work, a P and a 3. A U and a 1. We're talking about America. A Y and a 4. An L and a 1. And a V and a 4. Okay, so that is what I have for you. As I said, I wasn't really quite sure where this reading was going. I feel like I'm picking up little bits and pieces of information that maybe is meant to be put together by other people. Just little fragments of a bigger puzzle. I hope the reading was helpful. I hope it gave you some puzzle pieces or some confirmation on messages that you have already been receiving. I do hope that if there's some sort of natural disaster, that everybody stays safe. I wish healing for everybody. I think collectively, if we can all heal, then the world will be a much better place to live. So that's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are called to any of my decks, the links to those can be found in the description box. If you haven't already, please like, share and subscribe. If you are interested in any of those readings in regards to the Pluto and Aquarius transits, I do have a Pluto and Aquarius playlist. There's more information in there. And I thank you again, and I'll see you again in another reading.